B'Shem Hashem Naaseh B'Shem Hashem Naaseh V'Natziach. Thank you, everybody. We had a little hiatus over there. Now we're back to our Mishnah. We are doing one Mishnah tonight. Mishnah Tamid. It is chapter 1, Mishnah 1. It says, "B'shlosha mekomot hakohanim shomrim bebet hamikdash, bebet avtiknos, bebet hanitzutz, bebet hamokad." So, introduction to this Masechta and to this Mishnah is that the Kahati says, Mesechtenu oseket betiyur korban tamid shel shachar. Tamid, there's one korban, Mr. Ganjian. This piece of the Talmud wants to teach us all the laws of what? Korban tamid. Korban tamid is the offering that every single day of the year, even Yom Kippur, even if Shabbat, if necessary, they have to turn on fire to bring it. It shows us our unwavering emotion to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You understand?
Yes.
Et hakeves ha'achat ta'aseh baboker. The Korban Tamid is brought twice. Once in the morning and once in the afternoon. Now, the Korban Tamid, the Kohanim, they would three places. One place was called Bet Avtinos. Bet Avtinos was where they stored the Ketoret, Mr. Ganjian. You understand? Because that's the family that was the expert that knew the secret spice, how to mix the 11 spices of the Ketoret, which was the most pleasurable of all the offerings to God, was who? Avtinos. They were the experts that knew how to make the recipe of the Ketoret. Bebet hanitzutz Shayu Besafon Hazara. This was in the north part of the court of the Bet HaMikdash, because there they would make a small bonfire for the Kohanim, that in order to stay warm. It was like their heat room. You understand?
Yes.
Ubet HaMoked. This was the Bet HaMoked was another chamber. So we're talking about three chambers. This chamber, Kati says, Shahaya Afhu Besafon. It was to the east of the Bet Nitzot, because also there was a large bonfire there all the time, where the Kohanim, again, they would have to go to the mikveh. The mikveh was freezing cold, and they would have to walk barefoot. You know, Kohanim, they were not allowed to wear any shoes or socks, and they had to walk on cold marble. So where would they warm up? In the Bet Moked. So it says over here in the Mefarshim, the Rambam explains that it's a mitzvah for there to be security, to be, if this is the palace of God, the Kohanim are like His royal servants. They have to always be there to make sure that the holiness of the temple is being kept, right? Because if you're non-Kohen, what's going to happen to you is the death penalty. Because if you look in the Torah, chapter 18 in Bamidbar, the fourth book of the Torah, chapter 8, it says that V'shamru et mishmeret ohel moed. You have to watch the holy tabernacle, not because, God forbid, nobody can destroy God. Anybody that tries to destroy God is going to be destroyed. To the contrary, It's just that the palace of every king and queen has a lot of royal guards to give respect. You understand? So the Kohanim would always be. No, Shalom Leib. Israel, Yerushalayim gets very cold. It could even snow in Yerushalayim. So they needed one small bonfire and another big bonfire to warm up. And at nights it gets cold. It's in the mountains. It could snow in Yerushalayim. That's one of the most glorious and beautiful pictures of the Kotel. Now, what it's saying right here is there's a mitzvah that somebody should watch over the temple to give respect to it. You understand, Mr. Ganjian?
Yeah.
Some people say that the Kohanim have to be on guard 24 hours a day. Some say only at night. Because in the Rambam it's mashma like that. And the Kahati says, besides the three places that the Kohanim would watch over the temple, in another Masechta, Masechet Midot, there's another 21 places that the Levi'im would also watch over and be like the royal guards of the Holy Temple. Did you know that?
Yes.
Because we learned that from the beginning of Bamidbar. It says, V'achonim lifnei Mishkan Kedma lifnei Mizracha Moshe v'Aaron. You know, Moshe and Aaron were camped in front of the Holy Tabernacle in the desert for 40 years. So from here we learn that both the Kohanim, chapter 3 in Bamidbar, Pasuk 38, and chapter 18, Pasuk 2 through 5, we learned that the Levi'im and the Kohanim, they have to I'm sorry, Steve, I can't, it's off topic. It's the Ketoret. Shalom Lev has a whole book on it, he could send it to you. Shalom Lev, send him in Messenger the 11 spices of the Ketoret. Okay? So besides the three places the Kohanim always used to be royal guards over the temple, there was another 21 places the Kohanim would be guards in the temple. And it says, Bet Abtignos Uben Hanitzutz Haya Aliyot. The place where the Ketoret. Yes, Mr. Gangia. What's the question?
Only the three of them only Kohanim, and the 21 of them is the Levi.
Yes. So there's three groups of Kohanim watching over, like being the royal guards, to give respect to the Holy Temple. And then there's 21 groups of Levi'im. That, God willing, we're going to get to in. There's three Mesechtot that are together in your book, not in my book, but in the art scroll that you have. Mesechet Tamid, Mesechet Kinim, and Mesechet Midot. We're going to talk about where the 21 Levim were in Mesechet Midot, God willing. Okay?
Yes.
So it says, Bet Abtinos Uben Hanitzos Hayu Aliyot. It says these were on the second level. They weren't on the ground level of the temple, these two chambers. In the Talmud Yerushalmi it says that they were on top of the gate of the water in the south, and the Bet HaNitzot was on top of the northern part of the Azara, courtyard of the temple, and it was like a Kemin Achsadra, it was like a dome, on top of the dome entrance. So basically when you would want to enter the temple, there would be a second level on top of the entrance. That's where the Bet Avtinos and the Bet Hanitzutz were located. And the Kohanim would sleep there and be there so they could watch over the temple. The Harubim, the young Kohen lads, the young boys under Bar Mitzvah, Shomrim Sham. Oh wow, this is fascinating. So the Kohanim that were not bar mitzvah yet, they would actually watch and hang around in those two chambers. Bet HaMoked Kippah. On top of the Bet HaMoked, so it says, V'harovim shomrim shah. Bet HaMoked Kippah u'bet HaGadol haya mukaf rovim shel even. Which means, on top of the Bet HaMoked there was a dome. It was not on the second floor, but rather it had a grand high ceiling. You understand, Mr. Ganjian?
Yeah, a lot of high ceiling.
It was a high ceiling, so therefore it had like a big dome.
Yes.
Ubet gadol haya, it was a very big room. Mukaf rovim shel even. It had, it was like a beautiful place that had rows of columns. You know, have you seen the Greek and Roman architecture that they have like a lot of columns next to each other, one on top of each other? It says, "Rechovot yotzid min hakotel letoch bet hamoked ze lemala v'ze v'ze sara mizeh kemin madregot." So, beziknei bet av yeshanim sham. Now, what would happen was that what would happen is that the elderly Kohanim would sleep over there in where the dome was. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
The Bet HaMokad. Because you know there was 20 different groups of Kohanim that would serve in the temple. And every week one family would serve. Kol mishmar nechlak shuv leshisha bate avot. And then each one of those 24 was divided into 6 for the 6 days of the week. And then one family would sleep. So it's saying the sleeping quarters of the Kohanim that were on duty was in the Bet HaMokad. U'maftechot ha'azara biyadam. Wow! Did you know this? They actually had the keys to the temple, to open the gates of the holy temple to let the public in and the Levi'im in.
Hello.
Yes. It says, V'lo haya adam rashai litolam beli reshutam. And they were the custodians of the keys to enter the holy temple, and nobody else was able to take it away from them. Upirchei kahuna, and the young Kohanim, like the teenager ones, that were not yet considered the elders, ish kisato ba'aretz. They would sleep on the floor. So they wouldn't have official beds. Lo haya yashenim bebigdei kodesh ela poshtim v'alklin machinim otam tachat rushehem. And they would not. It's a dishonor to sleep in their holy robes, the ketonet, right? You know the Kohanim have 4 holy vessels that is talking about in Sefer Vayikra. They would not sleep with that. Rather, they would take it off and fold it and use it as a pillow. It means that then they weren't allowed to use it as a pillow mamash, but they would put it under their pillow. And they would put on their pajamas and go to bed. Because they're only allowed to wear their uniform, which is the 4 begadim of Bigdei Kehuna, when they're serving God in the holy temple, not when they're sleeping. So it says, if chas v'shalom, one of them had a accident and seed came out of him. Era keri, if one of them had a wet dream, and they, you know what I mean, from their downstairs, they had a wet dream, what would he do? Mikre laila lechad mehem yotze veholech v'misiba. He would go around the other Kohanim and not wake them up to the stairs. Holechet tachad abira. He would go under the temple, because a Kohen that's impure cannot be in the temple, cannot be in the courtyard of the temple. So if you had a bad dream, a wet dream, then he's not allowed to stay in the temple. He would leave in a secret passage and go out from under the temple. And there was hanerot dolkot mikan umikan. There was lights that were like menorah lights like Shabbat candle lights that were in this hallway until he went to the mikveh. And then again there was a fire there. You have to understand, it was very cold at nights for him to go to the mikveh. So after he came out of the mikveh, he would warm up near the fire. Ubeta kiseh shel kavod. There was also a bathroom. Why? Because it's a halacha actually for women also. Before they dip in the mikveh, they should go to the bathroom. You understand? Because you go to the bathroom, your body's totally clean, you go in the mikveh and you come out. Because there's a halacha, if you go to the bathroom after you went to the mikveh, you may, when the person does number one, that thing may have tumah on it and make him tameh again, so it defeats the purpose. You always have to go to the bathroom before you enter the mikveh. V'zeh haya kevodo. And that's why it's called, even though it's called a bathroom, it means house of honor, because you're honoring the mikveh by first going to the bathroom and clearing out your body. Matzah na'ul yodea sheyesh sham adam. Obviously, if the bathroom was closed, you have to wait, because there's a Kohen in there, and then it'll be your turn to go. Patuach, if it was open, yodea she'en sham adam. So how would they know that the bathroom is being occupied or not? If it was occupied, the door would be closed. If it wasn't occupied, the door would be open. Yarad v'taval alav v'nistapeg. When he would go to the mikvah and come out and dry himself up, then he would warm himself up by the what? By the bonfire. Then he would come back to the room where his Kohanim were sitting, because now he was pure. Until the doors of the temple were open. But he wouldn't be able to re-enter the courtyard. He would have to go outside the temple, because we know that Mr. Ganjan, we learned this in the first Mishna and Brachot, right? In Daf Yomi. At Tevul Yom, he has to wait till the following night to be able to be again pure, to serve in the Bet HaMikdash. You understand?
Yeah. Because they sleep on the floor.
Yeah, the young Kohanim, not the older Kohanim. The ones that were already older, they would have beds, but the younger ones would sleep on the floor. Obviously, they would put like a blanket on the floor.
Oh, because there's a heat underneath.
Yeah. They wouldn't have to sleep on a stone floor. So that's what it says. Chazak u'baruch. That's the first Mishnah. It was a very long Mishnah. It's like equal to 2-3 Mishnayot. Beli Neder, God willing, we'll do the next Mishnah tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.
Okay,
Please stay tuned. We're going to have Zera Shimshon after. Shabbat B'Kheir.
Rabbi, I have a question.